Nigeria says 20 prominent members of Boko Haram are under arrest. Nobel Prize laureate Malala Yousafzai talks to VOA about women's empowerment. And the biggest stars in music bring daring chic to the VMA red carpet. Africa 54 starts right now.
Good evening and welcome. I'm Vincent Makori. This is Africa 54. The tide may be turning in Nigeria's fight against the terrorist group Boko Haram. The nation's military says it has uncovered a major Boko Haram bomb-making factory, and its security agency said on Sunday it has arrested 20 prominent members of the militant Islamist group accused of orchestrating deadly attacks. Both announcements come on the heels of Friday's latest round of brutal violence by the militant group, when 56 people were killed in a village in northeastern Borno State. Well, for more on Nigeria's fight against Boko Haram, Cynthia Ari, a reporter with Channels Television, joins us on the phone from Lagos. Good evening, Cynthia.
Good evening, Vincent.
Yes, now, with this kind of report you're getting, is this being seen as a major or significant gain by the military against Boko Haram?
Indeed, it is. I mean, this is not the first time we've heard that the Boko Haram is planning to come to Lagos or might be threatening to even bomb the Third Mainland Bridge, which was the case back in about 2010, thereabouts. Well, the truth is, security has always been in place in Lagos, but with this information, it's definitely heightened to some extent. And in truth, it does show that the security, the Department of State Security is indeed very active. And people are thrilled, somewhat troubled to some extent. Like, okay, it seems to be getting closer or away from the north, but at the same time, there's a sense of contentment with how it's been handled.
Now, we hear the arrests took place over a period of weeks. Is this something that anybody knew? Was there any visible activity that indicated that the authorities were looking for such people?
Oh, far from it. That was not the case. I mean, there were tip-offs, according to what we hear, tip-offs and some self-confessed situations, but there was no alert. We didn't know when all this was going on. We only heard the outcome of it, and I believe that's the safest way to go, because Boko Haram also has large intelligence and intel. They've got informants. They've got different ways of getting around and knowing their spots, the victims, and their targets. So it was a real hush-hush situation. There was no leaked information whatsoever. We only heard about it when they had made some arrests and some discoveries as well.
Now, we know that the government has made similar pronouncements in the past, even if it is the previous government, and people sometimes are skeptical. To what extent are people taking this seriously?
Oh, they're taking it seriously because the president is taking this serious. I mean, it was part of one of the promises he made during campaign, the crackdown on Boko Haram, saying they would be wiped out. And once he was inaugurated, we saw that he hit the ground running. So in truth, people are waiting to see more tangible results. But the fact that the president has hit the ground running, we've seen him in various meetings, liaising with various presidents and various organizations on the crackdown against Boko Haram. That has brought a sense of contentment. We're content with how he's addressing it.
Yes, one of the things people have been asking.
Okay.
One of the things people have been asking is, how about the girls? Any leads up to this point? The Chibok girls.
The girls are not forgotten. They're still. We have a reminder every day, either in the news or with 500 days, for instance. We're still. And we've also heard about how he said he would approach the situation if it came down to that, in terms of willing to negotiate. So it's not forgotten. But just like this case of having discovered or having apprehended some Boko Haram militants in Lagos, it's also being kept hush-hush because you can't put it out there, the steps that are being taken. But one thing that we're constantly reminded of is that they've not been forgotten. And in truth, I think Nigerians are satisfied with the fact that the president has that on the front burner, even though he hasn't brought out a blueprint for us to see the direction to which he's going. But we do know that he's making certain moves.
Well, Cynthia, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Cynthia. Cynthia Ari is a reporter with Channels Television in Lagos, Nigeria. Now, the United Nations Security Council is threatening to impose sanctions on South Sudan's warring factions if they do not fully implement a new peace agreement. The 15-member council late Friday called on government forces and rebels to adhere to the ceasefire. Since signing a peace agreement with rebel forces early last week, South Sudan's President Salva Kiir ordered the army to halt all military operations before a full ceasefire went into effect on Saturday. Rebel leader Riek Machar signed the agreement more than a week ago, but Mr. Kiir added a list of reservations about the deal, raising fears the ceasefire may not hold. An Egyptian court has found 3 Al Jazeera journalists guilty of supporting the banned Muslim Brotherhood and has sentenced them to 3 years in prison. One of the journalists, Australian Peter Greste, speaking from his home in Australia, says the sentences handed down to him and his 2 colleagues Saturday were politically motivated. A spokesman for Al Jazeera says the verdicts defied logic and common sense. Greste is calling on Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi to pardon them. Greste says Australian Foreign Minister Julie Bishop has pledged her support in getting the sentence overturned. The 2 other journalists sentenced are Canadian national Mohammed Fahmy and Egyptian Baher Mohammed. It's unclear when or if Greste faces extradition from Australia to Egypt to join his colleagues back in prison. Where police probing Thailand's deadliest bombing have issued arrest warrants for 2 suspects in August 17th Bangkok shrine attack. Yiming Wu of Reuters reports.
Thai police are hunting for 26-year-old Wana Swanson and another man believed to be in his 40s. Authorities issued the arrest warrants for the 2 after they raided an apartment block at the weekend and found possible bomb-making materials. Police Chief Somyot Punpanmuang says a network of at least 10 people, including Thais and foreigners, are responsible for the attack.
First, there is the issue of the route in and out of Thailand. Second, the preparation of the accommodations. Third, the route of escape. Fourth, the process of the bomb and components. Foreigners alone cannot do all of this. There must be Thai people supporting them and involved in the process.
Police on Saturday arrested a 28-year-old foreigner but haven't confirmed his identity or nationality. Authorities have been criticized for an investigation that has uncovered few clues about who was behind the blast on August 17th that killed 20 people. No group has claimed responsibility for the attack on the Bangkok shrine.
U.S. President Barack Obama is traveling Monday to the far northeastern state of Alaska to meet with residents and deliver an address at a conference where U.S. and foreign officials, scientists and locals are gathering to discuss the effects of climate change on the Arctic region. The goal of the Glacier Conference, according to the White House, is to boost awareness of how the effects of higher temperatures in the Arctic are affecting the rest of the world and what people can do in response. In his weekly presidential address, Mr. Obama said Alaskans are already experiencing the effects of climate change.
More frequent and extensive wildfires, bigger storm surges as sea ice melts faster, some of the swiftest shoreline erosion in the world, in some places more than 3 feet a year. Alaska's glaciers are melting faster too, threatening tourism and adding to rising seas. And if we do nothing, Alaskan temperatures are projected to rise between 6 and 12 degrees by the end of the century, changing all sorts of industries forever.
The U.S. State Department is hosting Monday's conference and said that while it has no direct relations to UN talks later this year to try to create a binding plan for addressing climate change, the talks will help drive political will. The conference comes on the heels of a report from the U.S. space agency NASA, which released data showing sea levels are rising faster as a result of global warming. NASA's Josh Willis says it will continue to do so.
We expect it to continue. As the planet heats up, the oceans are going to respond, and the ice sheets and glaciers, which melt and contribute to sea level rise, are also responding to the warming climate.
Scientists have warned that letting global temperatures rise more than 2 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels will bring extreme weather and rising seas that would affect populations all over the world. Sessions at Monday's conference will include issues of science cooperation, renewable energy, strengthening emergency responses, and preventing unregulated fishing in Arctic seas. Well, New Orleans observed the 10th anniversary of Hurricane Katrina and the subsequent flooding of the low-elevation city on Saturday. Studies have shown that the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers failed to build levees strong enough to withstand the surge of storm water. But as viewers Greg Fleckers reports, the new levees are much stronger.
10 years after her home was submerged in water, Renata and her family continue to work on repairs.
We're still working on it, but, we got it livable.
Water gushing from broken levees flooded most of this area, known as the Lower Ninth Ward. While many people rebuilt their homes here, there are still many empty lots and ruined structures. After Katrina, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers replaced the levees that failed with better ones. The new levees around New Orleans are built much deeper and much stronger. But many critics of the Corps of Engineers say these are the kind of levees that should have been built in the first place.
It was the largest engineering failure in history. Katrina was a storm that was not bigger than the levees were designed to withstand it.
Martez Lynch and his family live near the new levee in the Lower Ninth Ward.
I feel a little better about the levees today. I mean, the Army Corps engineers and everybody who came out to help can only do so much. Mother Nature will take its course if that's what she wants to do.
But human infrastructure has disrupted nature by reducing wetlands and barrier islands below New Orleans.
One of the things that both the barrier islands as well as our marshes do is they help knock down that storm surge so that when it does hit in some of these communities, it's not as high as it would be otherwise.
Graham says state and federal authorities are working together to restore coastal barriers to help prevent a recurrence of what happened 10 years ago. Greg Fleckers, VOA News, New Orleans.
We want to know what you think about Africa 54 and the stories we covered during the conversation on Facebook. The address is Africa 54. Check out our headlines 24/7 on voaafrica.com. Find me on Twitter at VOA Vince Makori. Coming up, a Nobel Peace Prize winner and trailblazer in women's rights visits Washington. Stay with us.
My name's Carla Babb, and I work the Pentagon beat. That access helps me to do better stories. Every day it's my responsibility to collect all of the defense news. It keeps our VOA viewers informed. I get to travel all across the globe. Anything that's defense related and how to protect and keep people safe, that's where I'll go. So it's never a dull moment at the Pentagon. My name is Carla Babb. This is my beat.
Welcome back. Nobel Peace Prize winner Malala Yousafzai met with VOA in Washington Sunday to talk about women's rights and to unveil a trailer for her new documentary. VOA's Catherine Gibson tells us more.
In the 3 years since she was shot by the Taliban for pursuing an education in her native Pakistan, Malala Yousafzai has traveled the world advocating for women's empowerment. She brought that message to Washington Sunday, telling VOA the world would be a better place with more female leaders.
This is my message to all women around the world, that they should believe in themselves and they should believe that they have this leadership potential, and we need more and more women to come forward.
Her message continues in October with the release of a new documentary, He Named Me Malala, chronicling her life. The title, says Malala, reflects her father's decision to name her after a strong Pashtun woman.
My father, he has been an inspiration to me right from the beginning, as well as my mother. And he was there speaking out for women's rights, for girls' education in Swat Valley at a very difficult time. So he inspired me to speak up for my rights.
Malala, who just passed her college exams in Britain, took questions from local university students who called her an inspiration.
It doesn't matter how young you are, that you can be a hero. You can be someone who won, something as incredible as the Nobel Peace Prize. And it's just been wonderful to see, someone who is 18 and who has already done so much.
I feel that her voice was more powerful because a lot of the people, for a lot of people, this was something that was beyond the statistics, like X number of girls are not going to school, this percentage of the girls are not going to school. She was able to show to the world that this is a real problem.
Education is the only solution.
Malala says her message ultimately has meaning for women and for men.
If we deprive half of the population of the world and do not let them come forward, then it would be really hard for us to go forward and achieve success and see development. For every country's development, the full participation of both male and female is important.
It's a message she'll continue to deliver now that she has turned 18 and is moving into adulthood. Catherine Gibson, VOA News, Washington.
Well, a big question mark remains on the list of U.S. presidential hopefuls. Will Vice President Joe Biden enter the race on the Democratic side, joining former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton and Senator Bernie Sanders? Well, VOA's Michael Bowman reports the answer could come any day now and put an end to the weeks of speculation and intrigue in Washington and beyond.
He has an extensive political resume, vice president for nearly 7 years after 36 years as a U.S. senator. Plain-spoken and long-winded, Joe Biden is no stranger to the campaign trail.
We will not go back to the 50s in social policy, to the Cold War in our foreign policy, and to the policies of the last administration on our economic policy.
But Biden isn't saying whether he will mount his third campaign for president. The possibility seemed remote months ago after the death of his son, Beau, and as Hillary Clinton dominated the Democratic field. But with Clinton now mired in controversy over her use of a private email account as Secretary of State, and with Senator Sanders drawing enthusiastic crowds, some political observers see an opening for Biden should Clinton stumble further.
Joe, 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 Joe.
President Barack Obama is staying neutral.
What I would say is that both are, Joe and Hillary are wonderful people, great friends. Joe's been as good a vice president as I think we've seen in American history, and been at my side in every tough decision I've made. Hillary Clinton was one of our best secretaries of state.
And Clinton is choosing her words carefully, too.
And I just want him to reach whatever he thinks the right decision is.
But some Republican presidential contenders are weighing in.
I think he sees vulnerability in Secretary Clinton. So I don't know what Joe's going to do, but if he's ever wanted to run, now's his best chance.
Joe, nice to see you.
Most presidential aspirants of both parties laid the groundwork for their bids a year or more ago and already have spent months on the campaign trail. Should Biden run, he would have to play catch-up in forming and financing a campaign. Michael Bowman, VOA News, Washington.
Well, it's time now for a short break. Still to come on Africa 54. The fiercest red carpet looks from this year's MTV Video Awards. We'll be right back.
Rebels of Riek Machar attacked Malakal town yesterday.
شكل ضوابط الدعاء من يوم الثلاثاء على مدار الأيام وتجري عملية الانتخاب.
Welcome back to Africa 54. Here's what's trending. Skin and bling were definitely a thing at this year's MTV Music Awards. The VMAs have long been associated with daring fashion, and this year was not different. From host Miley Cyrus' futuristic chandelier look to Nicki Minaj's skin-tight goddess chic to Taylor Swift's bejeweled midriff bearing a sweatsuit, hitting the gym and cutting curves were musts for these stars prior to the ceremony. By the way, Taylor won Video of the Year for Bad Blood. Well, next up, call it the Cash Register Awakens. Star Wars producers announced a marathon worldwide rollout of toys this week for the upcoming The Force Awakens movie. Now, the toys will be introduced online over an 18-hour period in 15 cities and 12 nations beginning in Sydney, Australia, early on September 3rd. Disney plans to capitalize on the trend for so-called unboxing events online in which new products are unpacked and videos uploaded to the internet. Click on the Star Wars YouTube channel for details on the live stream of unboxing videos around the world. Fans will be encouraged to tweet their comments with the Twitter hashtag #ForceFriday. Well, and finally, German dog lovers celebrate the pug life with plenty of painting, snorting and treats. More than 200 pugs from all over Germany and beyond descended on Berlin for the International Pug Dog Meeting. The highlight of the day was the pug race. Other pugs cooled off in the heat with frozen yogurt. In German's big cities and especially in Berlin, the pug has become trendy and popular for its easiness to transport. And that is what is trending today. Well, the Smithsonian National Museum of the American Indian recently opened the Great Inka Road exhibit in Washington. It explores one of the greatest civilizations in South America. Here's VOA's Caroline Turner.
The display explores the construction of the sacred Inca Road, which was built more than 500 years ago. It connects 6 South American countries from Colombia in the north to Argentina in the south. It actually is a network of roads shown on the map in yellow. Interactive displays show it spans 24,000 miles, traversing the rugged Andean mountains, and contributed to the rise of the Inca Empire.
This is Inca engineering, high-level engineering. High mountains, very deep canyons, valleys, how they built without sophisticated tools. But they built roads very similar that Roman roads.
Tawantinsuyu means 4 regions. Chinchaysuyu is the largest agricultural region where communities join together to rebuild the grass rope suspension bridges. Kantasuyu is the road to the sea where the Incas developed terraced farming to increase agriculture. Kolasuyu is the pastoral area for llamas and alpacas. Antisuyu covers the exotic Amazon rainforest, prized for its medicinal plants and bird feathers. All roads lead to Cusco, the capital city.
Machu Picchu was house of the Inca Pachacutic. Inca lives in Cusco, in the capital city, for his administration, but in his weekends or vacation, living in Machu Picchu.
Central to the Inca civilization is the llama, a cousin of the camel.
It was their beast of burden, it was a source of food, it was their livestock. And that meant that the road was built not just for humans to travel, but for llamas to travel as well.
On display are 140 items that illustrate important concepts in Andean spirituality.
The objects speak for themselves, their beauty and the artistry that went into that. We want to reveal not just the art, but the architecture, the engineering, and the science of the Incas.
The exhibit includes maps and objects, some dating before 100 BC, impressive gold ornaments and carvings, silver figurines such as this double-sided male-female figurine which expresses the duality of the Andean worldview. Textiles such as a bag used to carry cocoa and this knot system for record keeping and belts made from shells. This Inca staff finial head dates back to 1400 AD. This gold chest ornament dates from 1000 AD and had religious calendar significance. The gold headdress worn by the Inca ruler. Cocoa was a sacred plant to the Inca and still is essential to South Americans today.
Inca conquest the upper Amazon because it's the very rich in medicinal plants. Coca leaf give some energy. It's very good for headaches. And during the day, everyone showing coca for energy and continue to work.
The Inca Empire flourished in the 14th century until the Spanish invasion in 1532. Many sections of the Inca Road are still in use today and are revered as sacred spaces. The road is recognized by UNESCO as a World Heritage Site. The exhibit is at the Smithsonian Museum of the American Indian until June of 2016. Carolyn Turner, VOA News.
Well, it's time for Monday's Sports Report, and for the latest news and notes, we turn to Sonny Young with the Sunny Side of Sports. Hello, Sonny.
Hello, Vincent, and sporty greetings once again to Africa 54 viewers, waving the Kenyan flag. And here's a Sunny Side of Sports salute to Kenya, which made history by topping the medals table with 7 gold, 6 silver, and 3 bronze at the World Athletics Championships in China. There we see all the Kenyan medal winners in Beijing. Asbel Kiprop won Kenya's 7th and final gold medal on Sunday. In a thrilling finish, Kiprop came from behind to win his 3rd consecutive world title at 1,500 meters, clocking 3 minutes and 34.40 seconds. Kenya is the first African country to lead the medals table in the 32-year history of the World Athletics Championships. Meanwhile, Ethiopia also had reason to cheer in Beijing. Almaz Ayana led an Ethiopian sweep of the medals in the women's 5,000 meters final. Senrere Teferi won the silver, and Genzeba Dibaba won the bronze. There was another thrilling finish in the women's marathon on Sunday. Ethiopia's Mare Dibaba held off Kenya's Hella Kiprop to win the gold medal. It was one of 3 gold medals won by the Ethiopian team in Beijing. I'm VOA's Sonny Young, and that's the sunny side of sports. Vincent?
Well, thanks a lot, Sonny, and that's our show. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.
Welcome to English in a Minute. Of all the places I never want to be, under a bus is one of them.
Throw someone under the bus.
Wow. Jasmine really threw Max under the bus in today's meeting. I thought they were friends.
That surprised me too. But it did sound like Max screwed up her team's project.
Yeah, but it was a team project. You can't just throw one person under the bus.
Good point. She must have a secret reason.
Yeah, remind me never to work on a project with Jasmine.
If you throw someone under the bus, you sacrifice them to serve your own purpose. You blame them for a mistake or problem. You can use this expression in any situation. Anytime you want to blame someone for your own personal gain, throw them under the bus. And that's English in a Minute.